the intro might be a little bit more modified. Trust me, we're working on getting that intro back in place. We're going to get shit rolling once again. There's a few modifications that needed to be made on the hardcore sports, human resource, technological side of things, but not to be confused with any of that. I did check the mic. It damn sure sounds right, boy, and that could only mean that it's Saturday. You know what that means. We're live! Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to the greatest fucking show on earth. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle, no. God, do you smell that? Do you smell that? That right there is the smell of pure excellence. Wait for it. Wait for it. To mankind! Woo! Oh my God, I'm on fire, baby. Oh man, I'm burning from my head to my toes. Oh, I got a tiptoe. Tiptoe. Woo! I'm feeling it. I am feeling it. I'm on fire today. This, of course, is the Lightning Flash update for Saturday, August 27th, 2022. Man, we're closing out the month of August on a hot term. We have a lot of material to get into, including a lot of news regarding AEW and the chaos that's reportedly been taking over the backstage environment. On top of that, the obvious dip in the television quality of the shows. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, we're going to talk about WWE's continued build towards Clash at the Castle. And we got Worlds Collide set for the afternoon before AEW All Out. So, Labor Day weekend. It's a busy one. Trust me on that, it's a busy one. But first things first. Whew. I'm like all out of breath already. I got to save some energy for later on in the show. Holy shit. Wow. It's still hot. Let me just say that. September is usually a warm month. I know Labor Day is kind of considered the unofficial end of summer, but I mean, September is a rather warm month. Fall doesn't really start until like the last week in September, the beginning of October. But we got a lot of topics to get into. Obviously, we got a lot of people here in the chat. And of course, Mitchellkovsky, with, of course, the obligatory message here to everyone in the chat, reminding everyone that I am the best in the fucking business. We got Shooter. We got Shooter in the chat as well. And yes, I'm making up for lost time. I was off the last week. I was on vacation. I did join Mitch, Earl, and Jeff on Hardcore Sports, though, back on August 17th for a Dynamite watch-along. That was a great time. Greatly appreciate them inviting me on the show. I had a wonderful time, very fun time, great opportunity, and hopefully I get to do more of that. I really, really enjoyed that. Before we get into all the festivities, I got a lot of announcements, and I mean a lot of announcements. First things first. First things first. ISPW, Independent Superstars of Professional Wrestling. I have been attending a lot of their shows as of lately, and they have really hit their stride. They have been taking the New Jersey independent wrestling scene by storm, no pun intended there. And I just wanted to promote the next show. They are doing a King of ISPW tournament. That is taking place on September 23rd, Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time next month in Totowa, New Jersey, the Totowa PAL, aka the ISPW Arena. We got an 8-man tournament to crown a King of ISPW. The tournament reads as follows. We got Alpha Jr., former WWE superstar Manu. He is taking on the main event Michael Mars, who is doing great work himself. So that should be a great match. We also got Trax. We got Trax, who is almost like a mini Rick Steiner, so to speak. He's taking on Sean Donovan. That should be a horse fight. We got the Tri-State champion, Bull James. He's taking on former ECW superstar Danny Morrison. And then we got the Ace of Space, LSG, former Ring of Honor superstar. He's taking on Rick Recon. And I am absolutely calling Rick Recon to win the whole thing. I think it is absolutely his time. He has really grown a lot as a performer. He's been doing some really good heel work, especially he's got Dave LaGreca by his side. So shout out to Dave LaGreca, who, by the way, Dave LaGreca, he was on the vlog for ISPW Summertime Blues. That took place last Friday, August 19th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time in Butler, New Jersey. He made a special appearance on the vlog. If you want to go check out the vlog link is in the description. Go check it out if you missed it. I had a fun time, especially that main event, that TLC main event. And we do have new ISPW World Tag Team Champions, Crowbar and Percival Payne, just like I predicted. That should be a great move for ISPW. Crowbar and Percival Payne are great at what they do. Can't wait to see what they do going forward. Some more announcements. I will be attending AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. Yes, that's right. I will be in Queens at Arthur Ashe Stadium on Wednesday, September 21st for Grand Slam Elevation and Rampage Grand Slam as well. I plan on getting there a little bit earlier. So if you're going to Grand Slam, if anyone's going to Grand Slam, hit me up. You can take a picture with me, have a conversation with me. We can record a video for the vlog. I'll give you a free wristband. Hell, I may even call you a retard like I do everyone else in the fucking community. So please, if you're going to Grand Slam, hit me up. I'll give you a wristband, take a picture. You can be on my vlog. I'm going to have a fun time. Should have a really fun time at Grand Slam. I will be live in attendance. Next week is going to be a busy fucking week, people. And I mean a busy fucking week. Next week's going to be a busy week in terms of brand content. Next Tuesday, August 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be live once again for the rundown for AEW All Out 2022, and I will be having Top Rope Squishy on the channel. That is right. Top Rope Squishy. We haven't collaborated in quite some time. I don't think I've been on her channel in about a year. And then she hasn't been on my channel in almost 2 years. So I'm definitely looking forward to having Top Rope Squishy on the channel. She is going to be my guest. We're going to dissect everything going on September 4th in Chicago at All Out. Should be a fun time. Once again, that is next Tuesday, August 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Set your calendar dates for that. Next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Next 30 on 8 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Next Thursday on September 1st, I will be going live again for the rundown for NXT Worlds Collide and WWE Clash at the Castle. And I will be having Mr. Rob Williams. Shout out to him. He's the co-founder of the Bob Culture podcast. I will be having Rob Williams on the channel. He's actually working at ISPW himself, so shout out to him. He's actually doing some great work. He's interviewed a lot of major names in the wrestling community, Johnny Gargano, Crowbar, Danny Morrison, Maven from Tough Enough as well. So Rob, I'm definitely happy to have him on the channel. First time that we'll be collaborating. He and I will be live next Thursday, September 1st at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be dissecting 2 shows. That is right. It's a dual rundown for Worlds Collide and Clash at the Castle. Next Saturday, again, a lot of announcements. Next Saturday, Clash at the Castle is taking place at 1 p.m. Clash at the Castle is taking place at 1 p.m. So I will be doing an LFU, but it's not going to be at the normal time. I will be doing an LFU at 10:30 a.m. in the morning. 10:30 a.m. in the morning next Saturday, September 3rd, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So set your calendar dates. We're going to wake up with some controversy. It's going to be a stormy morning, if you will, here in the IWC. So set your calendar dates, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time next Saturday, September 3rd. LFU will be live before Clash at the Castle. We got Clash at the Castle at 1 p.m. And then the following day at 1 p.m., I will be doing a rewind for Clash at the Castle on September 4th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will be having Nick Fury on the channel. Shout out to him. He hasn't been on my channel in almost a year, so I'm getting Nick Fury back on the channel, and we're going to dissect everything that goes down at Clash at the Castle. Then, of course, we got Worlds Collide at 4 p.m., All Out at 7 p.m., and then Labor Day to end the busy week. It will be Jeffrey Turner. Shout out to Jeffrey Turner. He's in the chat right now. He's going to be joining me. He's going to be joining me for the rewind for Worlds Collide and All Out. It's going to be a dual rewind. We're going to go over everything in depth that takes place on Sunday across 2 major shows. Shout out to him. Very happy to have him on the channel as well. Once again, that's Labor Day, September 5th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be joined by Mr. Jeffrey Turner for the rewind for Worlds Collide and All Out. Please make sure you follow me on Twitter at HistoryMakerDJS and on Instagram at HistoryMakerDJS. Please make sure you add me on Facebook for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, all of those links are in the description, as well as the links to the Hardcore Sports social media platforms. We got Twitch right over here. We are live on Twitch right now at Hardcore Sports 1, Instagram Hardcore Sports Network, Twitter. We're also live on the Hardcore Sports Twitter at Hardcore Sports N, as well as my channel and my Twitter account at HistoryMakerDJS. We're live there right now. We are also live on my channel and, of course, the Hardcore Sports YouTube channel at Hardcore Sports Network. We are live there too. So check out all of those links as well. We are 14 minutes in the stream. If you haven't liked the stream, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. You need to like the stream, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on Twitch, like it on Twitch as well, whether it be on Facebook. We're also on the Facebook live group chat right now on the DJ Storms Posse Facebook group. And we're live on Hardcore Sports YouTube channel and my channel. Like it wherever you are. Like it on Twitter. Like it on Facebook. Like it on Twitch. Like it on YouTube. If you're in the Hardcore Sports YouTube chat, go over to my chat. Like the stream there. If you're in my chat, go over to the Hardcore Sports chat and like the stream there. It is big. Of course, be sure to share out the stream on all platforms of social media, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitch, whatever social media platforms that you may use, share it out. We want to get as much of an outreach as possible. This is my return after nearly 2 weeks away. Come on, people. I was on vacation. I think you guys can get me a shit ton of viewers. So like the streams wherever you're watching it from and share it out on all platforms, social media. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Like it on Twitch. Follow both Twitter accounts that we're streaming live on. And, of course, like and share it from the DJ Storms Posse Facebook group. If you're watching on YouTube, when you hit the subscribe button, you got to make sure that you hit the notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, baby, it is the best time to be on YouTube. It is the only time that you're going to get to see this glorious sideburn shin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. We'll see Earl a little bit later on, but right now we're going to light it up on the channel right here with a little and a dash of and a whole lot of because like Campbell's soup, oh, I'm so good. Everybody wants a piece of the Stormsmeister, let's be real. And people could barely survive without me in the last week. People could barely fucking survive. The community needs DJ Storms. Everyone needs DJ Storms. Without DJ Storms, there is no IWC. Just letting you know. Now then, why don't we get straight into the news, rumors, and reports here on the Lightning Flash update. Let's start off with Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara. They've had some backstage heat, resulting in Eddie Kingston recently completing a suspension, a rather short suspension. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, they reported that Eddie Kingston recently completed a short suspension after a backstage altercation with Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara cut a promo on Rampage 2 weeks ago, reportedly calling Eddie Kingston fat, and it resulted in an argument in which Kingston palm-faced Guevara and potentially punched him in the face, knocking him out. Kingston actually took some time to respond, stating, and I quote, "You know the truth. I wouldn't lie. I was wrong for being unprofessional. That is the blind fact. He, Sammy Guevara, did what he did, and the public can judge that, but I know for a fact I was wrong." End quote there. Now, reportedly, this all came about because there was no communication between Guevara and Eddie Kingston in regards to what can and cannot be said in the promo. Now, the promo did not air on Rampage. The promo was not aired on Rampage, and the promo was completely edited out, considering it was a taped show. Now, the promo, I didn't get to see the promo, but I don't necessarily have to see it to know whether or not shit went down, because I believe what was said here, since Eddie Kingston is very passionate about what he does, and Eddie Kingston takes some things personally. Sammy Guevara obviously is looking to get as much heel heat as possible, and I get that. But obviously there are limitations to do that. Now, at the end of the day, this all resulted in a lack of communication. So it is not just Tony Khan that has a lack of communication problem, it is also the talent. If you are involved in a storyline on prominent television taking place across Dynamite and Rampage, and you are cutting promos, especially promos that are not scripted. These promos are not scripted. Tony Khan is not handcuffing anyone. Nothing is off the table as long as it stays within the legal boundaries and guidelines. So if that's the case, then Sammy should have gone out of his way to communicate with Eddie Kingston. That is where Sammy was in the wrong. Sammy should have gone out of his way to communicate with Eddie Kingston. Was Eddie Kingston's actions, were they justified? No. There was no reason for a verbal argument like that. It would have came off a lot better if Eddie Kingston calmly approached Sammy Guevara. They talked things out like proper adults, and they smoothed things over. So at the end of the day, both parties were in the wrong. I appreciate the fact that Kingston actually acknowledged it. Now, Sammy's statement, he came off like a prick. I'm guessing he's still trying to remain in character for storyline purposes, but at the end of the day, Sammy was also in the wrong. Sammy should have gone out of his way to communicate with Eddie Kingston to verify what he can and cannot say. Eddie Kingston was in the wrong for his unprofessionalism. I do appreciate Eddie Kingston acknowledging where he went wrong. He completed his suspension, and now he's back in the game, and I'd like to hope that Eddie Kingston is indeed going to fight Sammy Guevara at some point, because I genuinely want to see that match. I think that would be a great match. But this just stems from the many problems that AEW currently has backstage. AEW is not a perfect company, and trust me, I will be talking about AEW's problems in depth. Rampage last night, while the wrestling was fairly decent, the vibe of the show did not feel good. The vibe of the show did not feel good. The vibe of the show felt very WWE main event-esque, like no one gave a shit about it, and there was way too much shit stacked into the show. And that's coming from a guy that loves Rampage. I like the 1 hour format. I don't mind it, But they got a lot of shit to do as far as improvement goes. And this just goes to show you with the fact that there is so many people on the roster, there's so much shit to do. Tony Khan can't be in a million places at once. He's going to have to build a solid creative team. That way, he can open up his schedule a little bit more. He won't be as stressed. Things won't fall to the wayside. And every single show that AEW Dynamite put on will feel must-see. In the beginning, every single show, before the pandemic hit, every single show that AEW Dynamite put on was must-see. Even Dark was must-see. Even Dynamite was must-see. Now I can't really say anything but Dynamite is must-see. Rampage has even slacked. Meanwhile, Rampage has been hitting a lot of good strides. There's been a lot of good wrestling and a lot of good stuff on Rampage this year. But the last few weeks of Rampage, they have not been flowing very well. I don't know what it is. It's not that the wrestling is bad, but there's just no real reason to invest your time in Rampage. And that's a fucking problem. We're going to talk about that more, but this is part of the problems that AEW has. The talent in major storylines that are on prominent television, Dynamite and Rampage, this case, it's Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston, they need to communicate with each other and make sure everything is okay to either say or not say on television. So at the end of the day, both parties were in the wrong here. This is just common nature. Sammy Guevara should have gone out of his way to talk to Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston was wrong in what he did. I'd like to hope that now things have smoothed over. Eddie Kingston even told everyone to leave Sammy Guevara alone. So I appreciate Eddie Kingston doing that for Sammy Guevara. It really does show you the type of guy that Eddie Kingston is. He's a stand-up guy. He's a professional. So I'd like to hope things will smooth over and everything will play out on television as it was scheduled to play out. Now, this report all came out from PW Insider and the Wrestling Observer newsletter. It came out hand in hand. So I trust that. I absolutely trust that. WrestleVotes. Moving on, WrestleVotes. They reported an update on the feedback from this year's SummerSlam 2022. They tweeted out earlier this week, and I quote, "Sources state WWE was beyond thrilled with how Nashville turned out as the host city for SummerSlam a few weeks back. The city is on the short list to host the event again next year. Decision expected early 23. End quote. Now, that should be rather interesting. And I'm glad that SummerSlam turned out rather okay. And if that's the case, I would not mind seeing SummerSlam in Nashville again. I liked the whole vibe of SummerSlam. The stage was very nice. The ramp looked cool. It made SummerSlam feel more important than it usually has. And the wrestling on the show was very good. The crowd was very good for the most part, too. So if they want to host SummerSlam in Nashville, I wouldn't mind it. But at the end of the day, whether they want to host SummerSlam in Nashville or not, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter all that much because no matter where they host it, the main concern is, will the show be good or not? And it all comes down to the proper booking and creative. But I have faith that Triple H will do that. WWE, they announced that NXT UK will be going on hiatus for a few months, and it has been confirmed that the NXT UK brand is over. Fox News reported that NXT Europe will reimagine the brand and talent pipeline with a renewed focus on Europe. Shawn Michaels took time to comment on this Fox News Digital, saying that he was pretty excited about everything that's going on. He even went so far as to state, given the success of NXT UK, we felt like it was time to expand beyond that. End quote. So that's what's going on with NXT UK, and NXT UK is indeed dead. Now, I wouldn't go so far as to say the success of NXT UK because NXT UK has really taken a turn for the worst. And a lot of people have been wondering, what exactly happened with NXT UK? What killed NXT UK? NXT UK was hot. They were hot. It was a multitude of things that killed NXT. And I even went as so far as to say, when this happened, that this was no excuse for any of the shows dipping in quality. The pandemic was no excuse for NXT, Dynamite, Raw, or SmackDown dipping in quality. But NXT UK, that's a different story. That's a different story. NXT UK was just getting its feet off the ground. NXT UK was just getting its feet off the ground at the beginning of 2020. 2019 was a fairly decent year for NXT, but it wasn't a breakout year for NXT UK, especially towards the end of the year. The last 4 months of 2019, NXT UK was really placed on the back burner because Triple H had to focus on NXT being moved to the USA Network at 2 hours to go head-to-head with AEW because of Vince. But in the beginning of 2020, NXT UK was on fucking fire. And I mean, they were on fire. They were actually doing better than NXT Black and Gold was at the beginning of 2020. I remember they came off that great NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool 2 event. We had Jordan Devlin and Tyler Bate on that show. That was a great match. We had a ladder match for the tag team titles. Joe Coffey and Walter was on that match for the UK Championship. That was a great NXT UK TakeOver. Then we went into Worlds Collide, where Imperium beat the Undisputed Era. Then we went into a program with Toni Storm and Kaylee Ray. I remember that was an I Quit match program with Kaylee Ray ending up retaining over Toni Storm. And then she was going to a program with Piper Niven. They were building towards NXT UK TakeOver Dublin at that time. I remember Dave Mastiff mixed it up with Walter. Ilya Dragunov became the #1 contender. And then the pandemic hit. The pandemic hit. And NXT UK, they didn't continue operating during the pandemic until 6 months later. They completely shut down. They completely fucking shut down. And it sucked. They completely shut down and it sucked. They were legitimately out of commission for 6 months. They came back. They were in the fucking BT Sports Studio. And then, meanwhile, while everyone else in America was getting back to normality, the UK and NXT UK, they stayed in the fucking BT Sports Studio. You can't really come back from a pandemic, and you can't really come back from prominence if you were never at prominence to begin with. NXT UK was never at prominence. They were getting there in the beginning of 2020, and the pandemic continued to kill all their momentum. Completely destroyed it. Destroyed all their momentum. Then it didn't help that NXT Black and Gold was starting to suffer. So naturally, NXT UK was going to suffer because Vince and Bruce were slowly injecting their flavor into it. NXT 2.0 came about, and when NXT 2.0 came about, no one gave a shit about 2.0, thus no one gave a shit about NXT, and the entire NXT brand across US and the UK was dead. It was the pandemic. It was the lack of care. It was the fact that Triple H was being slowly removed for Vince and Bruce to come in and completely redo everything. Then we started seeing NXT 2.0 stars start to appear on NXT UK. There was legitimately no promotion from anyone. No promotion from anyone in the US to promote NXT UK. No one from the US cared about NXT UK. They were, and then it was just absolutely destroyed. That's all I got to say. Vince, Bruce, the lack of care, and the pandemic all destroyed NXT UK. So at the end of the day, this was probably the best route to go. It sucks. It really does suck too. This even resulted in the releases of a bunch of superstars. Trent Seven was one of them. Tio Man was one of them. I remember Flash Morgan Webster, Mark Andrews, Dave Mastiff, Jack Stars, Nina Samuels, Amelia McKenzie. All these individuals from NXT UK got released. Now, normally I'd shit on them. I'd shit on WWE for doing this, but WWE probably knows, Triple H specifically probably knows that with NXT Europe coming around and NXT UK going on hiatus for a few months, many of the superstars in the UK aren't going to want to relocate to the US just to compete on 2.0. Many superstars may not be open to that. So what do? They release them. They're going to do some work on the independent scene, and then maybe once NXT Europe starts up again next year, maybe they could hire them back. Maybe Triple H has a plan to hire these guys back after NXT Europe gets up and running, because they're not going to be able to operate NXT Europe with 10 fucking people, which is all that's left of the NXT UK roster at this point. So they're not looking to completely disregard these talents because they have nothing for them. they released them because NXT UK is going on hiatus. There's going to be no WWE wrestling in the UK, and many of them aren't going to want to relocate to the US. But NXT Europe, I actually think that this could be a great idea. This could actually be a great idea. And if it's going to be a renewed focus on European professional wrestling in WWE, and we actually get some solid competition there, and WWE is really looking to help a lot of wrestlers in NXT UK, and some wrestlers in NXT UK could potentially make it to NXT and then the main roster. This is Triple H's vision to potentially scout more areas of the globe, minus the US, for new up-and-coming talent, especially in the UK. UK is one of the places where professional wrestling is thriving right now. The UK scene is probably the best wrestling scene minus the US. The US obviously has the best wrestling scene. Then you got the UK. So, in hindsight, it's not a bad idea. It just fucking sucks that NXT UK had to result in this. And a multitude of things killed it, which I just talked about. I'd like to hope that every single individual that got released is going to find a good amount of work. And at the end of the day, once NXT Europe gets up and running, they could very well come back. Because they're going to need a lot of top-tier talent in NXT Europe. And I mean that. Maybe Finn Balor goes to NXT Europe. Maybe Finn Balor mixes it up with some people from NXT Europe. Who knows? Maybe we see Drew McIntyre over there. Maybe we see Sheamus over there. Maybe some main roster stars can make their way over there. Maybe we see Gunther return over there. That could be interesting. Maybe we see Jordan Devlin return over there. Maybe Tyler Bates going to be the face of NXT Europe. Maybe we see Pete Dunne come back. Who knows? I'd like to believe that this is going to be a good thing. With Triple H, I'd like to put my faith and trust in him. Minus Omos and the Women's Tag Team Championships, Triple H has done everything that he can to make sure that the WWE shows have a lot of value to them. Making sure that storylines are present, that new stars are being created. I mean, look at what happened on SmackDown the last couple weeks. Ricochet is on a fucking winning streak. That should tell you all you need to know. We'll see what happens, but I'd like to believe NXT Europe is going to succeed a lot. And as far as NXT UK goes, I feel sorry for the people that got released. And I feel sorry for the brand in general. But this is probably the best decision. NXT UK was a dead brand. There was no resuscitating it. The pandemic, combined with Vince and Bruce's lack of care, killed it. Killed it beyond repair. NXT Black and Gold, that's going to be hard to resuscitate. NXT 2.0, that's going to be hard to rebuild and rebrand, as it is. NXT UK was beyond repair. But I do believe that the Worlds Collide special coming up on September 4th, that is going to be a turning point. That's going to be a turning point in the landscape of NXT. And NXT is going to get back to being the prominent show that we all know it should be. And that could have a Raw and SmackDown-esque feel. We'll see what happens there. Edge. Some people have actually tried to convince me, fucking retards, obviously. Some people tried to convince me that Edge getting kicked out of Judgment Day was always the plan. Edge pretty much confirmed that being kicked out of Judgment Day was not the original plan. Matter of fact, I still wish Edge was still in Judgment Day. Even though they're doing a lot better now and Judgment Day is actually doing pretty solid, I wish that Edge was actually still in Judgment Day. He was speaking to Bleacher Report, and he stated, and I quote, in regards to working with Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley, and Damian Priest, he stated, and I quote, so far I've had a blast going to work and getting to do a storyline with Priest and Balor and Rhea Ripley. It was kind of floating there for a little while. Now it's setting a direction, and that's really, really fun. We had to make some changes due to injuries, bullshit, and stuff like that. What kind of stuff like that? Bruce and Vince, that's what. And you just have to adapt. You have to adapt, says Edge, to the shitty booking. He didn't actually say that, but that was the reason why. That last sentence is all you need to know. Vince and Bruce absolutely destroyed the main potential of Judgment Day. I don't see Judgment Day lasting past a tag team, maybe a mid-card act. They need a main event level name. Edge was that name, and he was going to transfer that credibility to Priest, Balor, and Ripley. Now, Judgment Day is still doing fairly good work. I mean, I've been taking a look at what they've been doing. Finn Balor's on a winning streak. Finn Balor has actually been booked better now than he has throughout his entire main roster career. Finn Balor's on a winning streak when he matches. That's a big statement from Triple H right to Vince McMahon in itself. Rhea Ripley has a nice little role. Damian Priest just had the best match of his main roster run this past Monday with Edge. But at the end of the day, Edge should still be in Judgment Day. And this just goes to show you that the plan that followed through June 5th and that episode of Raw, that was never supposed to be the original plan. And Bruce and Vince did that deliberately out of pettiness because Edge didn't want to go along with what happened. He didn't want to go along with Bruce and Vince's vision for Judgment Day. Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. There was a bunch of fucking bullshit that came out. Voices of Wrestling is an absolute farce. That account and the sources that they claim to have, that account is the bane of the IWC's existence. There was some bullshit that came out about Thunder Rosa not being injured and how she was sent home because of what happened with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter has heat with Thunder Rosa for breaking her nose and all this other bullshit. A lot of that shit, completely fucking false. And that really pissed me off. I was actually quite disappointed in some people actually buying that shit. The truth of the matter came out from Mike Johnson of PW Insider. Now, the heat is legit. The heat is legit between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. According to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, Rosa's injury is legit. She has bulging discs in her back. That is a legit injury. I don't know how long she's going to be out, but it'll probably be a couple of months. They are described as mortal enemies backstage, specifically because Britt Baker has created this facade, this idea, this persona for herself that she is entitled, she is spoiled, and she deserves to be the center of attention, something that Thunder Rosa does not approve of. Rosa reportedly told Britt Baker not to take a shot at her injury, but Britt took matters into her own hands, and she said what she said on Dynamite, saying that she defended her championship throughout her reign with a broken freaking wrist, yet Thunder Rosa is over here taking a hiatus because of an injury. That was a shoot. Now, Jamie Hayter reportedly has heat with Thunder Rosa as well. Why is that? It's not because Thunder Rosa broke Jamie Hayter's nose. Accidents happen. Accidents happen throughout wrestling in general. Look at how many injuries that we've had this year for AEW and how many superstars have injured other superstars. Injuries happen. It's not ballet. This is not entertainment. This is a fucking sport. So at the end of the day, injuries are going to happen. But unfortunately, and I hate to fucking say this, but this legitimately sounds like fucking high school drama. He said, she said, because Britt Baker is in Jamie Hayter's ear, and Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter have been paired together for a year. You can imagine that they've gotten to know each other. You can imagine that they've become really good friends. They've become close. So with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter's ear, that could potentially facilitate Jamie Hayter to hate Thunder Rosa based off of Britt Baker. It's pretty much, it's legitimately the same exact scenario as if I don't really want to get political here, but let's say I was friends with a diehard liberal, and this diehard liberal is a fucking retard, and she spews or he spews all this fucking bullshit about Trump, and I wasn't as smart as I am, because let me just say this right here. I am one of the smartest people on the face of this planet, and you're going to have to get used to that, and if you don't like it, you can suck my dick. But, let's say I wasn't as smart as I am, and I was easy to manipulate. So if this liberal friend of mine, figuratively speaking, hypothetically speaking, if this liberal friend of mine who hates Trump was to get in my ear about all this other shit, and I was good friends with this person, I would probably believe that person. This is the same exact scenario. Thunder Rosa, I'm going to tell you this right now. Thunder Rosa is legitimately turning into AEW's version of Sasha Banks. Now, what do I mean by that? Sasha Banks is one of the best in the company, in WWE. Thunder Rosa is one of the best women's performers in AEW. They are both well-respected. They are both adored by the fans. But for some reason, they have these fucking haters that have these smear campaigns against them. And Sasha Banks has been dealing with that for years. All these smear campaigns against Sasha Banks to make her look bad. Meanwhile, Thunder Rosa is over on AEW's side of things. She's doing the same thing as Sasha. She's working her ass off. She wants women's wrestling to be respected. She cares about the division. She doesn't just care about herself. And yet there's people that are going to make up all these fucking stories about her sandbagging people and making everyone feel insignificant and wanting to push herself up to the top. It's bullshit. Thunder Rosa did nothing wrong here. Thunder Rosa is in no way, shape, or form the perpetrator. And I don't really want to make comparisons, but Britt Baker, in terms of a backstage scenario, in terms of a backstage perspective, Britt Baker is coming off like an entitled cunt. Britt Baker is legitimately coming off like AEW's version of Charlotte Flair. Now, it may not seem that way on TV, because Charlotte Flair on TV, she's on TV every fucking week. She's always in the title picture. She's always in a prominent role, and she makes everyone else look bad. She doesn't put anyone over. Outside of Ronda, outside of Becky, she has legitimately never put anyone over in a clean fashion in years. And I mean years. Britt Baker, on the other hand, she's a different scenario. Britt Baker has actually lost clean a lot more than people think. She lost to Ruby Soho clean on Dynamite. She lost to Toni Storm clean on Dynamite. She lost to Thunder Rosa. She hates Thunder Rosa, but yet she lost to Thunder Rosa clean twice. Twice within the span of 3 weeks. Once in a tag team match and then once in a steel cage match. She lost to Thunder Rosa twice. Clean. What could that possibly mean? That means that Britt Baker obviously is not in the spotlight as much as Charlotte Flair. She even took a few weeks off, and then she was in a tag team match with Jamie Hayter, in which Jamie Hayter was the one that got the pin. Britt Baker didn't get the pin. Jamie Hayter got the pin. She's trying to transfer that credibility and that star power to Jamie Hayter to make Jamie Hayter a bigger star. So on TV, she may not come off as the television version of Charlotte Flair, but backstage, she's acting like a fucking bitch. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why that needs to happen. I don't understand why we need to have wrestlers. I don't understand where these fucking wrestlers come up with this facade that they are who they are on TV. They're not. Britt needs to understand, and she needs to fucking wake up and realize she is not Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, with the bloody face, the badass bitch that threw herself onto thumbtacks and steel chairs and tables. No, she is Brittany Baker, the dentist. That's who she is when the camera stops rolling. She's not Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. She is Brittany Baker, the dentist. I act like a fucking prick when this camera starts rolling, but I have a job. I have a job outside of this. I go to work 5 days a week. I get my ass up at 5:30 a.m. and I go to work as a national accounts analyst at my job. I don't come strutting in with a fucking leather jacket and sunglasses talking to my boss like a bitch, or talking to my coworkers like an asshole, saying, hey, you know, these fuckers should give me a raise, even though I've only been here for about 8 months. These fuckers, I'm not doing that. That's unprofessional. That's unrealistic. That would make me come off like a dick. I don't live the gimmick outside of when the camera stops rolling. Yes, there are certain scenarios that me and DJ Storm share, but personally, I'm not a fucking asshole. I don't think I own New Jersey. I go to work, I keep my mouth shut, I do my job, I remain quiet, I'm professional, and after my shift is over, I clock out and go home. I don't understand why there are so many wrestlers that need to live the fucking gimmick and think they are entitled to be where they are. Britt Baker is great as a television presence. She is probably the best AEW Women's Champion that we've had to date. The biggest homegrown women's star that AEW has produced thus far. But that doesn't mean that she's entitled to what she's getting backstage. That doesn't mean that she deserves to be praised as if she's a fucking goddess. Britt Baker needs to check her fucking ego. Britt Baker needs to check her fucking ego. And this goes hand in hand with Tony Khan losing control a little bit of his roster. This goes hand in hand with Tony Khan feeling overwhelmed with everything that's going on. And at the end of the day, Tony Khan needs to fucking lay down the law. He's been way too lenient. There's nothing wrong with being a fan. There's nothing wrong with being a decent human being. But at the end of the day, when shit goes AWire, you need to fucking grow a pair of balls and lay down the fucking law. Thunder Rosa is an innocent victim here. Thunder Rosa is completely innocent in this. She did nothing wrong. Meanwhile, Thunder Rosa even told Britt Baker, don't talk about my injury. And out of disrespect, Britt Baker went and talked about her injury. A complete lack of respect, a complete lack of care. Britt Baker is coming off like a fucking cunt. And that I do not respect. You are not the bloody-faced, badass motherfucker that goes through thumbtacks and tables. You are a human being at the end of the day, and you are no special than I am. Britt Baker is no more special than me. She is no more special than the Joe Schmo that works at Burger King. She is a normal human being at the end of the day, and she needs to get herself in fucking check. Now! This legitimately pissed me off. This even pissed me off more than what happened with Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara. Because at least Eddie Kingston is acknowledging where he went wrong. And at least Eddie Kingston is smoothing things over with Sammy. This is fucking high school drama. We don't need that shit with AEW. Tony Khan needs to make Britt Baker an example. Britt Baker better take the pin at All Out. He needs to make Britt Baker a fucking example. Don't do this shit. Britt Baker needs to get herself in check, and someone needs to step in, whether it's Tony Khan, whether it's one of the trainers, whether it's someone needs to step in. Because that shit is ridiculous. Thunder Rosa did nothing wrong here. Thunder Rosa is completely innocent. What a joke. Now, Tony Khan, he held a backstage meeting before Dynamite. And we're going to talk about this in depth before we get into the weekly show reviews. So apparently, he was very animated and impassioned. And I'd like to hope that this is a shift for AEW. And Tony Khan is really going to get back on the right track. He's going to do what he needs to do. He's going to expand his team, perhaps. Going to expand his creative team. He's going to expand his developmental team. And he's going to put more of a focus on all the shows that he has. But he was very animated and impassioned in this talent meeting before Dynamite. This came from Fightful Select, and the site stated, and I quote, "Some things will be addressed today in Cleveland. Fightful Select has learned that there is a mandatory talent meeting today at All Elite Wrestling Dynamite tapings. We're told that Tony Khan will be present, but not many details are known beyond that. The talent we've heard from expect it to address some of the rumors of unrest, contract inquiries, and personal issues, as well as those things being leaked. However, they've not been given any details on what to expect. We'll work to provide them here." End quote. I haven't really seen many people talk about this, but I want to point this out right here. And I guarantee you right now that this is absolutely one of the main reasons. Tony Khan, he was losing a little bit of control before this happened. But this is absolutely one of the main reasons why this talent meeting happened. This was absolutely a direct result of Triple H taking over. Because Triple H, Tony Khan knows. He's watched wrestling. He's a wrestling fan. You don't think he watched WWE before? Tony Khan knows that at the end of the day, Triple H, he's a fucking mastermind when it comes to creative writing. Triple H is a fucking mastermind at his job. Triple H gave us the best wrestling show that we've seen since the Attitude Era with NXT 1.0. So Tony Khan, obviously, he feels a little stressed because of that. And this was to address that. Now, as far as everything else goes, I'd like to hope that this meeting also addressed all the drama and all the chaos that's going on backstage. Maybe Tony Khan talked about some new people that are going to come in to help organize things. And if that's the case, I hope so. If that's the case, I hope so. Because at the end of the day, the disorganization backstage, that is going to be one thing that is going to drive people out of the AEW locker room. The shows themselves are still great. I don't want anyone to confuse my words at all. The shows themselves, Dynamite, sometimes Rampage, not in the last couple weeks, but most of the time, for most of the year, Rampage has been great for most of the year, and Dynamite has been great for most of the year. The shows overall, for 99% of the time, are still very good. But I don't know how long Tony Khan is going to be able to keep that up and keep the backstage drama from leaking onto TV. We've already had an incident with Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston. We've already had an incident with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. We had an incident reportedly with CM Punk and Jon Moxley, although that's coming off as a work more and more as we see. The CM Punk, Jon Moxley, I'm thoroughly convinced this is all a work. I guarantee you this is all a work. So the CM Punk, maybe I can't count the CM Punk incident because that seems to be a work. That's absolutely a work. Especially with what happened this past Wednesday, excuse me. The shows overall are still great. The TV shows are still good. Minus the last couple weeks. But one of the main things that has been one of the things that has been crippling AEW Dynamite a little bit, just AEW in general a little bit. One of the main things has been the disorganization backstage. And this goes hand in hand with what's been going on with all of the responsibilities that Tony Khan is taking upon himself. Tony Khan is a brilliant mind. Tony Khan is a brilliant mind. Tony Khan is someone who many people didn't think anything of, and he came about and he has single-handedly given us one of the biggest and one of the best wrestling shows that we've seen in quite some time. AEW is a great thing. However, the more responsibilities that you take on, the more talent that you pull in, the more disorganized it's going to be for you specifically. You can't operate everything. Now, Tony Khan has great ideas. He does listen to a few people here and there. He does take ideas unto himself. He allows people to operate their own characters, and he allows them to get over on their own terms, which is a great thing. But, like I said, the more people and the more responsibilities you take on, the more disorganized it's going to be. You can imagine Tony Khan is stressing the fuck out over this Ring of Honor deal. He's trying to get a Ring of Honor deal going. I can tell you this right now. Tony Khan is probably trying to get Battle of the Belts and those specials to be live for 2 hours every Saturday. He's probably trying to get Rampage to 2 hours as well, or at least move it to 7 p.m. Tony Khan needs to get more control of his roster, and the reason, and the main way to do that is to expand his team. More and more people need to start taking more responsibilities, especially the people like a Sanjay Dutt, the people like a QT Marshall, people like William Regal, and hell, if you want to, you can even bring in Maria Kanellis. I hate Maria Kanellis. She's a fucking liberal cunt. She's everything that's wrong with this country. But at the end of the day, Maria Kanellis, she booked the Ring of Honor women's division fairly well, and that actually got a lot of spotlight on Ring of Honor before Ring of Honor was inevitably bought by Tony Khan. Bring in Maria Kanellis, help with the women's division. Maybe you can put William Regal in charge of Dark Elevation, and Ring of Honor. Dark and Dark Elevation have become completely missable shows, and that sucks. And this goes in cahoots with what I was going to say about the television shows. There's not enough hours of TV time. And until we get that extra hour of Rampage, and until we get the Ring of Honor show, for however long it may be, whether it's an hour, whether it's an hour and a half, until we get that, Tony Khan he fucking needs to make the most of the television time and the YouTube shows that he's had. Dark and Dark Elevation should not be more than an hour. It needs to go 45 minutes to an hour, and there should be no more than 3 to 4 matches on the show. 3 to 4 matches, not 3 to 4 enhancement matches, not 15 enhancement matches. Nobody wants to see 15 fucking enhancement matches with local talent that no one knows about from the area that they're recording in. No one cares about the local talents in fucking Bumblefuck, Indiana, or fucking Austin, Texas, or fucking Nashville, Tennessee, or fucking Illinois, wherever the fuck that they record. No one wants to care. No one cares. No one wants to watch. No one wants to watch 15 enhancement matches. Dark and Dark Elevation need to be 45 minutes to an hour, and they need to be extensions from Dynamite and Rampage. We need to have 3 to 4 matches, 3 to 4 competitive matches between full-time AEW talent. Competitive matches between full-time AEW talent, and we need to have the major stars on the show to help sell Dynamite and Rampage. Then you can have the major stars go more than 10, 15, 20 minutes on Dynamite. You can have those matches on Rampage. Rampage, same thing. Rampage needs to be 3 quality matches with storyline build. Not 4, not 5. It needs to be 3. Rampage, Dark, and Dark Elevation all need to have 3 matches on the show each. 3 matches on Dark, 3 matches on Rampage, 3 matches on Dark Elevation with storyline build. You can do promos with the bigger stars, do promos with Moxley, do promos with Omega, do promos like that. Maybe you can have some talent debuts on the show. Maybe you can promote some bigger talent. You could promote a Moxley. You could promote a Punk. Promote a Punk for a Dark Elevation. Promote a Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole. People like that. Promote a Darby Allin for a Dark. Promote a Sting for a Dark Elevation. Promote those individuals so that way, more and more people would be open to watching Dark and Dark Elevation. And don't have it surpass an hour. Don't have it surpass an hour. Enough with the enhancement matches. I'm going to tell you, I've been saying this for years, ever since the pandemic. If you did it for the pandemic, fine, I understand that, because you wanted to give independent talent more time and more exposure during the pandemic, because independent wrestling was completely out during the pandemic. That I understand. But now that the pandemic is long fucking gone, and I don't want to hear anyone say otherwise, the pandemic is done. It's over. Gone. Those shows need to get back to what they were before. We saw feuds. We saw top-tier quality matches. We saw a lot of great material on Dark before the pandemic hit. That's what I want to see. I want to see feuds develop on Dark. I want to see legit rivalries develop on Dark. I want to see the major stars on Dark. Same thing with Rampage. Rampage, listen, I don't give a shit what TNT or Time Warner wants. Tony Khan needs to fucking bend over backwards to get Rampage to 7 p.m. every single Friday until he can get it live to 2 hours every single Thursday from 8 to 10. Rampage needs to be moved from 10 to 7 until it goes to 2 hours. And then when it goes to 2 hours, then it will finally be a must-see show. But at least until you get that, you can at least try and put some effort into a must-see show. Put some effort into making it a must-see show. The disorganization is causing the booking and the promoting of Dynamite and Rampage to suffer. Not as much as you would think, but it's suffering. And I can tell. And amongst all this, All Out, which right now is looking like the best pay-per-view of the year, and we don't even have a world title match for the show, All Out looks great. All Out looks awesome. We got Swerve in Our Glory versus The Acclaimed, Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Casino ladder match. We got the Trios Championship Tournament Finals. We got a women's fatal four-way that could very well be the best women's match of the fucking year. That's going to be a great match. We got Athena and Jade Cargill. Got a lot of good stuff. We're potentially going to get the House of Black versus Sting, Darby, and Miro. That's going to be great. After All Out, that needs to be the turning point for AEW to make their shows must-see again. We need major talent on Dark and Dark Elevation. Those shows need to be 45 minutes to an hour, 3 matches each. Not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 10, not 11, not 15. We don't need 1 hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours of Dark. We need 45 minutes to an hour with 3 quality competitive matches between full-time talent. If you want to do 1 or 2 enhancement matches here and there, that's fine. But we also need storyline build. Let's get an Adam Page on Dark. Let's get an Adam Page fighting some major talent on Dark. Let's get Adam Page versus a fucking anybody. Let's get Adam Page versus a fucking Ray Phoenix on Dark. That would definitely sell Dark. Adam Page and a Ray Phoenix on fucking Rampage. Let's get that shit going. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Tony Khan needs to follow those processes if he really wants to improve AEW, at least until he can get the proper television time that he needs. And to help with the organization backstage, he needs to assign other people to creative. Sign William Regal, Sanjay Dutt, QT Marshall, Maria Kanellis. Maria can help with the women's division. Sanjay Dutt and QT Marshall can help with Dark and Dark Elevation. William Regal can help potentially with Rampage. He could potentially help some other storylines. He could potentially help the undercard storylines. Everyone watches the show. Everyone's there. Give him more responsibilities to write for the show. It's not that hard. I hope that Tony Khan is listening. I'm still very excited for All Out. It's going to be a fantastic pay-per-view. But that needs to be the turning point for AEW, and they need to get shit back on the right track. Especially considering the drama with Eddie Kingston, Sammy Guevara, Thunder Rosa, and Britt Baker. I like to hope that I shed some light on that. I like to hope I shed some light on a lot of things related to AEW. We're going to go over 5 weekly shows. We're going to go over Raw, NXT, we're going to go over SmackDown, and we're going to go over Dynamite and Rampage. This was the worst Rampage that we've had all year. And here's the thing. We had some decent wrestling on the show, but the vibe of it just felt off. It felt like a legitimate house show. The wrestling wasn't bad, but it felt like a fucking house show. Now, Hula Grim, I see you in the chat. Does Pat Buck really have that much control over creative? Is it the creative aspect or is it the promoting aspect? I don't know what the deal is with Pat Buck, but maybe Pat Buck is the problem. Who fucking knows? Maybe Pat Buck is the problem. Maybe Pat Buck needs to go. Maybe you're right. That could potentially be another thing. Maybe he does need to fire Pat Buck. We'll see what happens there. But fucking sweating. I gotta go work out later, and I'm already fucking sweating. Regardless of that, those were the news, rumors, and reports. We're gonna get into the weekly show reviews. I appreciate all of you. You guys are great as per usual. Here's what I need y'all to do. If you haven't liked the stream over at Hardcore Sports, I need y'all to do that. I want you to go to the Hardcore Sports channel, and I need you to like the stream over there. Then, if you're on the Hardcore Sports channel, come back over to my channel, like the stream over there. We got 9 people watching. Share out the stream, people, on all platforms, social media. Let's check Twitter. Let's check Twitter. Are you sharing it out? I don't really see too many people sharing it out. So here's what I need y'all to do. Share out the stream. Yo, Hologram, where's Rage? Where's Raging Girl Gamer? I never see her in the fucking chat anymore. Where is she? Is she working? I mean, I understand she's married. I understand she has a husband, but I mean, even she could use a little dose of DJ Storms, you know? Just saying. Her husband's probably going to see that. He's probably going to want to kill me. Anyway. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw, but again, go over to the Hardcore Sports channel, like it there, and then come back to my channel, like it there. So, Raw was actually a very good show. Raw was actually a very good show. We got a lot of pay-per-view quality matches. 3 matches in specific. Balor and Dolph Ziggler, Kevin Owens and Chad Gable, and then Damian Priest and Edge. Those 3 matches, if you were to take those 3 matches and put them on Clash at the Castle, they would not look out of place. Those were 3 pay-per-view quality matches. A lot of good stuff right here. And we got a lot of good storyline build. We actually started off with a brawl between Rollins and Riddle in gorilla position. I like it. They're really playing up the fact that these two hate each other. They even brawled into the crowd. They dove over Riddle dove over the barricade onto Rollins. This is great. This was great. So, after they got the brawl under control, we go into a segment with Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus came out to address the crowd. She looked great, by the way. She looked great. She's legitimately, she's in the R-Truth Stone Cold Steve Austin category. She legitimately does not age. Either that or she fucking ages in reverse. Trish Stratus is right now looking as if she is still in her fucking 20s. How old is she? 47? 48? Tell me your fucking secrets. Again, I say this all the time. Give me your fucking workout regimen. Give me the fucking lotion that you use for your fucking face, the fucking facial mask shit. Give me that so that way I can look like that at 47, 48 years old. I've been told I look like I'm 32. And I'm only 23. So, she talked about how it felt good to be home, looking like a stunning MILF. Bayley and her crew interrupted, so we go to commercial. We come back from commercial. Bayley was hyping up Trish Stratus, and then she asked what she was doing here. Trish said that she was back to support Edge, and she had something to say. Dakota and Io interrupted. Bayley said that she's sick of her, and she's sick of the past. She's in the past, and we are the now. The now is here. Not to be confused with the tag team of Vic Delicious and Hale Collins, the Now, in ISPW. I prefer them over Bayley's crew. I'm just saying. Just because the Now are fucking great. Great tag team here in New Jersey. Bianca Belair then came out. She said that Trish Stratus walked so we all could run, and there would be no Bayley without Trish Stratus. Trish said that she can go from I am retired to I was retired. And that could very well be a little Easter egg. We could be looking at Bayley versus Trish Stratus anytime within the next couple of months, which I would not mind. I think that's a great fucking idea. I think Trish Stratus and Bayley could put on a great match. So, Bliss came out with Asuka. Trish, she counted, hey, there's 4 of them and 3 of them. Bayley then said that she's going to slide. She's going to let Trish slide. And she wished them all luck, and that was pretty much it. So, this wasn't bad. This wasn't bad, but, you know, it really didn't feel all that exciting. This was just kind of done for a ratings ploy, my guess, because Trish Stratus is from Canada, and everyone loves Canada, so they're trying to sell out Canada and shit. So they put Trish Stratus on the card, and then, of course, Everyone loves to see Trish Stratus. So from there, we go into Alexa Bliss and Asuka versus Dakota Kai and Io Sky. This was the Women's Tag Team Tournament semifinals, the Women's Tag Team Championships. And this was probably the best match out of the entire tournament. Out of all the matches that we've had, this was absolutely the best one. The crowd was dead for half of it. Now, it was a very good match, but the crowd was dead for half of it. I want you guys to think for a minute. I don't even need to answer this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Why was the crowd dead? Why were they dead? No one gives a fuck about the women's tag team titles. I say this all the time. No one gives a fuck about the tag team championships. So at the end of the day, I don't even know why they were even brought back, especially with what we got on SmackDown. Why were they even brought back? The match itself, though, was very good. I will say that. The crowd didn't give a shit about it. Every single individual except Alexa Bliss delivered. So Bliss was worn down. Kai then came in and she got kneed in the face by Asuka. Tagged to Bliss. This was probably the best thing that Bliss did all match. She did a cannonball off the apron to both women. Kai then took over. Coming back from the second commercial, we had a tag to Asuka. She lit up Io, some quick strikes and a nice German suplex. Sliding knee for a 2. Io with double knees and a springboard drop kick, which looked very nice. Bliss saved that. We had a big boot by Kai. Asuka kicked out. She tagged in Bliss. Bliss with a double DDT on Dakota Kai and Io Sky. All of a sudden, Asuka locked in an iron octopus on Dakota Kai. Io was able to save it. Bliss tagged in again. She went up to the top for Twisted Bliss, but Dakota Kai got the knees up. Asuka then took out Sky. Kai was then locked in the Asuka lock, but Io tagged in behind Asuka's back. Asuka thought she won because Bliss tapped out. Not Bliss. Kai tapped out. Asuka thought she won because Kai tapped out. And then Io rolled up Asuka to get the win. Good match. But again, no one cares. And Mac, the Giants fan, Mac, the Giants fan, once again saying no one cares because there are no real women's tag teams. Thus, rendering the women's tag team championships completely useless. So that was pretty much that. The only real hype around this tournament is the fact that Bayley's girls are going to come out victorious, and that's going to lead into the return of Sasha and Naomi, which could result in a title unification match at Extreme Rules, which I assume that's where it's going to happen. And then we could potentially see Sasha and Naomi win. Maybe Sasha and Naomi put over Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Who knows? But after that, then that's pretty much it. There's no reason for the women's tag team titles to exist. If we get the championship unification match, after that, I would fucking retire the tag team titles. I really would. From that, we go into Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler versus Finn Balor. This was a great match. This was one of... Probably, if you wanted to, you could say that this was the best match of the night. This was a great, and I mean a great fucking match. So Finn and Dolph traded strikes a little bit early on. Finn was in control before coming back from commercial. Dolph mounted a comeback with a very nice Rude Awakening and a leaping elbow for a 2. Balor hit the Eye of the Hurricane. Dolph kicked out. Finn countered the Famouser. With a very nice sit-out powerbomb. That got a 2 count. We had a drop kick and a jumping DDT by Ziggler for a 2. Famouser connects. Finn kicked out again. Balor with the shotgun drop kick. He went for the coup de grace. He missed. And Dolph Ziggler with a zigzag. Balor with a great near fall. The crowd was chanting, holy shit. Behind the referee's back, Rhea punched Ziggler. Ziggler sold the shit out of it. Balor with 19-16 and a coup de grace, and Finn Balor wins. A great match. They went 15 minutes. This was pay-per-view quality. And here is the biggest, and I mean the biggest statement of them all. Finn Balor is winning matches on TV. That's a big fucking deal. And I mean a big fucking deal. Love it. Finn Balor could potentially be a challenger for Bobby Lashley. I would love to see that. Good stuff. Really good stuff. The Alpha Academy. The Alpha Academy. Gable had a mic. Always a great thing. A shoosh. Shoosh, please. So he goes, we're on a search for a new student, but in Canada, I find toothless, washed-up hockey players. Your Toronto Maple Leafs lost an ice hockey game to a team from Tampa Bay. Love Gable. Love me some Gable. He wanted their best to see if they measure up. And of course he said, see, no one answered. Oh, thank you. All of a sudden, Kevin Owens came out to a huge fucking pop. And we get Kevin Owens and Chad Gable. Another excellent, excellent match. Pay-per-view worthy. And these two absolutely tore it up. So Gable, he chopped Owens while saying, a thank you. Fucking, I think I'm gonna put that on a fucking t-shirt. I swear to God. Do they have a t-shirt for Chad Gable that says a thank you? If so, I need to buy it. I know they have one that's a shoosh. I think I'm gonna buy that one too. So Owens with a senton on Gable. Gable rolled out. Gable then with an exploder suplex to Kevin Owens on the floor. Both men were on the apron. Owens then got back body dropped on the apron by Gable. Then Gable picked him up and gave him a German suplex. Coming back from commercial, Gable was in control. Owens with a cannonball and a pump handle neck breaker on the knee, which he calls the Steamalizer. He went up to the top and hit a beautiful frog splash. Gable kicked out. Gable with a nasty German suplex for a 2 and a beautiful diving headbutt. Owens kicked out again. Owens with an avalanche, fisherman suplex. Gable kicked out. We had a swanton bomb, but Gable got the knees up. Gable missed the moonsault. Owens with a super kick and a pop-up power bomb. Owens gets the win in an excellent match. Otis then attacked, and Owens sent him into the post. Otis caught a stunner, and Gable got power bombed onto Otis. And it looks like Owens is officially a badass babyface, and I love it. And I'm waiting for Kevin Owens to join forces with Sami Zayn. I'm waiting for it. I want to see it. We'll see it at some point. I'll have to wait and see what happens. But I love what they're doing with Owens, and I love what they're doing with Gable too. Some good shit. Really good shit. Aaliyah, she took on Bayley. This was not a very good match. Very slow. Very, very weak. Aaliyah sucks. I don't know what it is, but it seems as though she is following in the footsteps of Nia Jax. She's following in the footsteps of Alexa Bliss. She's following in the footsteps of the Iconics. As her run on the main roster is getting more and more into the depths of it. She's been on the main roster for over a year now. As time is going on, she's getting worse. And I hate that. I fucking hate that. Not a good match at all. So Bayley with a sliding clothesline. Bayley with a Sasha Banks-esque double knees in the corner. Aaliyah with a wheelbarrow bulldog on the floor. That was probably the best thing that she did. Lutez press. And she delivered some rights and lefts to Bayley, which looked very weak. Bayley then got out of a single leg crab. And then she delivered a rose plant. And she won in convincing fashion. Like I said, very slow, very weak. Did not flow very good at all. Shitty match. But Bayley gets the win, and it seems as though Bayley is going to be built up to fight Bianca Belair for the Women's Championship. But the one positive thing I will say about this is the fact that Bayley won clean. What a concept. A heel doesn't have to cheat to win. How about that? Isn't that a wonderful thing to see? We need more of that. Heel doesn't need to cheat to win. Good. The Miz and Ciampa versus Bobby Lashley and AJ Styles. I'm going to be quite honest here. The Miz is actually pretty bearable under Triple H. I haven't really seen a reason to completely shit on The Miz yet. He's actually been a part of some damn good matches. He put on a damn good match with Logan Paul at SummerSlam. We had a very good triple threat match with him, Styles, and Mustafa Ali on Raw. We had a very good tag team match with him, Ciampa, and Ali and Cedric. So The Miz has actually been pretty fucking decent. I gotta say, he's been pretty decent as of lately. Go figure, Triple H has made The Miz into a semi-decent act. How about that? So Styles and Lashley were in control of this match. Lashley, he military pressed Ciampa over the top rope onto The Miz. Coming back from commercial, Styles was isolated. Miz with a wrecking ball drop kick. Ciampa sent Styles into the timekeeper's area. Lashley tagged in, hit a double flatliner to The Miz and Ciampa. Ciampa sent into the ring post. Lashley clotheslined Miz. Ciampa hit Willow's bell. Lashley kicked out. Lashley hit a spear on Ciampa, but The Miz saved it. Styles with a phenomenal forearm to The Miz on the floor. All of a sudden, some fan tried to attack AJ Styles, and the security guards pulled him away. All the while, on the other side of the floor area, The Miz was trying to get up, and some guy wearing a riot mask comes up. He unmasks. It's Dexter Lumis. And Dexter Lumis, he grabs The Miz in a coquina clutch, pulls him over the barricade, and Dexter Lumis, with this emotionless expression, drags The Miz through the crowd into the depths of fucking Narnia. I don't even know where the fuck he went. I'm not sure what he did, but this was fucking hilarious. I was laughing. I don't even mind that this match ended in a DQ. To see that sight of Dexter Lumis just choking The Miz out and just dragging him away, that was fucking hilarious. This is great. Dexter Lumis right now is probably one of the most intriguing things about Monday Night Raw. And I love it. This is great. So afterwards, the match ended in a DQ. Ciampa was taken out by Lashley and Styles, and the babyfaces, they stood tall. And that was it. So I don't know what's going on, but I would definitely not mind seeing, potentially, if they want to go this route, maybe we see a triple threat match between Lashley, Ciampa, and Styles at Clash at the Castle. Maybe The Miz gets involved. Maybe Dexter Lumis gets involved. Who knows? Very interesting material. I like it. Very interesting material, to say the least. I wasn't even ready for what happened next. This was fucking nuts. So all of a sudden, we get back from commercial, and all of a sudden, I hear Rebel Heart. I had my phone, I had my head in my phone, and all of a sudden, I hear Rebel Heart. I heard it before I was looking at the screen. So I was like this. I hear Rebel Heart. I look up with this what the fuck look, and out of nowhere, Johnny Gargano comes out, and the crowd is chanting, holy shit. The crowd is chanting Johnny Wrestling. This was fucking awesome. This was legitimately fucking awesome. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So, Johnny Gargano came out, and he thanked the crowd for reminding him who he is. He goes, I am Johnny Gargano, and I was kind of a big deal in NXT. He talked about winning the tag team titles in Toronto. He talked about playing with his baby. The crowd was chanting baby wrestling. Gargano said he dreamed of becoming the US, IC, and the WWE champion. What kind of father would I be if I didn't teach my son that even the most impossible dreams can come true? And tonight I am betting on myself. Johnny Wrestling is back in WWE. All of a sudden, Austin Theory interrupted. And Austin Theory said, you know, I have accomplished a lot from winning the U.S. title to competing at WrestleMania to becoming the youngest Mr. Money in the Bank in history. It's almost like everything that you want to do, I've already done. He said he couldn't have done it without Johnny, but now he's the veteran and Johnny's the rookie. Maybe you can carry my bags. Maybe I can show you the way. Maybe you can just go away. Theory then wanted to do the high five, the no-look high five, and he was going, hit me, Johnny! Hit me, Johnny! And then Johnny Gargano hit him all right. He fucking super kicked him. And Johnny Gargano stood tall. So it looks like we're getting Gargano in Theory. I got no issue with that. Give me Gargano Theory Clash at the Castle. I got no problem with that. That's going to be a great fucking match. Good stuff. Johnny Wrestling is back on Monday Night Raw. This is a great thing. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. Next week, we got a stack of Monday Night Raw. We got Rollins and Riddle coming to a face-to-face confrontation. That should be good. Kurt Angle will show up next week, so very interesting to see what he will do. And then we got a women's tag team tournament finals next week. Really good stuff coming up for Raw. Damian Priest, main event. Damian Priest versus Edge. This was fucking excellent. This was Damian Priest's best match on the main roster, period, and probably his best match since his matches in NXT with Johnny Gargano. If you guys did not go out of your way to watch this match, I would highly encourage you to go out of your way to watch this match. This match was excellent. Excellent from start to finish. So, Edge, in the early goings, Edge was out wrestling Damian Priest. Edge powerbombed Damian Priest onto the barricade. And then we go into picture-in-picture. Coming back from commercial, Priest was in control with a double boot. Both men are down. Edge mounted a comeback. Neck breaker in the ropes for a 2. Edge then with a diving clothesline to Priest on the floor. Priest then chokeslammed Edge onto the ropes. And then, like literally, Priest threw Edge from a chokeslam position into the ropes. Edge's neck bounced off the ropes. Damian Priest then delivered a beautiful Razor's Edge, sending Edge through the announce table, completely fucking destroyed it. From commercial, we come back one more time from the final commercial. Priest then got Hurricane Rana off the middle ropes by Edge. Edge was going for a spear, Priest with a tornado kick, and then he hit a kill switch. So a little jab at Christian Cage right there. Kill switch connects. Edge kicked out. Both men then traded strikes. We had a rolling forearm by Priest. Execution for a 2. Priest then hit the Reckoning, and then he went for a spear. So Damian Priest was going for a spear. Edge caught him, and Edge hit a South of Heaven. Priest kicked out. Edge then got knocked into the ref. Priest hit the South of Heaven, and then he was going for a concerto. He got the chairs. He went for the concerto, but Edge saw it coming. Edge moved. Edge tripped up Priest, and Priest fell back first onto the chair. Edge then took the chair leg and delivered a crossface with the chair leg onto Priest. All of a sudden, Priest took the chair leg when Edge wasn't looking. Edge went for the spear. Priest hit Edge in the face. Edge fell down, beautifully sold it. The ref came in 1, 2. Edge kicked out. Edge, then he pulls out something I've never seen him do. Edge pulls out for the first time in his entire career. Edge does a fucking Canadian destroyer. How fucking fitting. A fucking Canadian doing a Canadian destroyer. Edge does a fucking Canadian destroyer. He does a fucking Canadian destroyer perfectly, might I add. And then he hits the spear for the win. These guys fought like they were fighting for the fucking WWE Championship, and I love it. This was pay-per-view worthy. Excellent. Excellent match. Afterwards, Edge then went for a concerto, but Rhea Ripley came in. She low-blowed Edge. Balor then came in with a coup de grace. They stood tall before Beth Phoenix then came in. She took the chair, and Judgment Day backed off. So it looks like Beth Phoenix could very well be added to this storyline. Maybe we get Beth Phoenix, Edge, and Rey Mysterio versus the Judgment Day. I like it. I really like it. The Judgment Days really hit their stride. I'm really liking what they're doing. Really, really, really good material right here. And this was a very good episode of Raw. Raw was probably the best show of the week. Raw was the best show in WWE all week. Really good stuff. So that was Monday Night Raw. Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves here. We got about 4 more shows to go over. Let's talk about NXT UK and NXT. We got the Worlds Collide special happening on September 4th. We got 2 solid matches announced. 2 really solid matches announced. That should be great. So, Braun Breaker kicked off NXT, which was actually a pretty decent fucking show. I'm not even going to lie. Pretty decent show. So, Braun Breaker kicked off the show. He praised JD McDonough, and he discussed Tyler Bate. He then invited Tyler Bate to come out to the ring. So, Bate came out. Bate went into the ring, and he praised Braun Breaker for his victory. He talked about standing here for the first and last time as the first and last NXT United Kingdom champion. He says, I can't think of a better way to kick off things than by unifying these titles. Breaker then said, this isn't NXT UK, but I do think there should be one champion. In 2 weeks, Worlds Collide, title for title. Braun Breaker gets better with every match. And the last couple matches, you can definitely see Braun Breaker improving a lot. He put on a great match with Cameron Grimes, great match with JD McDonough. I fully expect him to do the same thing with Tyler Bate. This could be Braun Breaker's best match ever. Breaker and Tyler Bate could very well be Braun Breaker's best match to date. And I'm very much looking forward to this match. This is going to be a great match. Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen versus Gallus. This was for the NXT UK Tag Team Championships. Gallus was in early control. Briggs tagged in and the champs took over. So coming back from commercial, Brooks Jensen was isolated. He tagged in Briggs. He had a big boot to Wolfgang, a sidewalk slam to Mark Coffey and Wolfgang. All of a sudden, Lash Legend and Pretty Deadly came out and attacked, and we got ourselves a countout. All of a sudden, after Gallus won via countout, Diamond Mine comes in and attacks Gallus and Diamond Mine stood tall. So, I don't understand why we needed to do this match, but based on what happened here, I can absolutely see a fatal 4-way match between Gallus, Pretty Deadly, Brooks and Jensen, and Diamond Mine, with Diamond Mine inevitably winning and unifying both sets of championships. That I would not mind. That I think is going to be a great move. And if that's the case, I'm all for that. I am all for that. That should be great. So that's a solid 3 matches right there. It's a real solid 3 matches right there. So after that, stupid ending, but I understand where they're going. After that, Andre Chase, he recruited Charlie Dempsey to Andre Chase University to teach the students about wrestling. Charlie was obviously doing it a little rough, and he really didn't give a shit, and neither do I. I don't really give a shit either, because Andre Chase sucks. The gimmick sucks. He's a decent wrestler, but the gimmick fucking sucks. Charlie Dempsey, he's fucking boring. He's in the same category as Zack Sabre Jr. Charlie Dempsey's fucking boring. He really is. Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller, he had the Grayson Waller effect with Apollo Crews. Now, Grayson Waller, he has really grown. He's grown into this role. He's really grown into being the cocky Aussie prick that is all about getting social media likes and fucking Bumble swipes and fucking Tinder swipes, whatever the fuck you want to call it. He's grown into the role fairly nicely. And I actually enjoy watching Grayson Waller work. Not so much this promo, but I enjoy him in the ring. So Waller, he asked Apollo Crews how it felt to be nothing more than a clout chaser. Cruz then talked about how he was born in NXT, and Cruz says Waller is jealous of him. Grayson Waller called him out for his fake accent, and then Apollo Crews responded with, "This accent? This is the accent that you're referring to?" So obviously Apollo Crews is having a little bit more fun. Waller then tried to paint Crews as a bad guy. Waller kept interrupting him. Crews then asked Waller how it felt to be a low-budget Miz. That I actually liked. Waller then asked how it felt for his kids to know that he couldn't cut it on Monday and Friday. Crews then said, "I tell my kids that their dad was a champ on Monday, their dad was a champ on Friday, and their dad's going to be a champ on Tuesday." All of a sudden, Crews then punched Waller and said, "That's the Apollo Crews effect." So it looks like we're getting these two in a match next week, which should be decent. I think that should be a decent match. We then go to a match between Javier Bernal and Cameron Grimes. Grimes made short work of Javier with the cave-in, and Grimes seems to be continuing his storyline with Joe Gacy and the Dyad. So we'll see what happens there. Blair Davenport versus Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell, excuse me. Blair Davenport versus Indy Hartwell. This was a very, very sloppy match. Really didn't care for it. Very sloppy-looking Falcon Arrow. Blair was off. I'm not sure what it was, whether it was the fact that her and Indy never worked together before, but whatever it was, it did not come off well. So Blair then took the mic, and she said that she has arrived. She wasted Indy, and then she challenged Mandy Rose. Mandy came out, says that she is the owner of this ring, and this is her world, and everyone follows my lead. She then said to put some respect on her name. All of a sudden, Meiko Satomura comes out, which I was very happy to see. So, in the end, we get a triple threat match between Blair, Meiko, and Mandy. I like it. I like it a lot. The one thing that cannot happen, though, Mandy needs to drop that championship. Mandy needs to drop that championship. She is pretty much spent with that championship. I'm ready for Mandy Rose to drop that championship. If Blair Davenport is legitimately going to be on NXT, if either Blair or Meiko is going to be on NXT full-time, I need one of those two to win. We do not need Mandy. We do not need Mandy as the unified champion. But unfortunately, that's where I fear that we're headed. We're legitimately headed down that road. Should be a decent match, though. Should be a decent match. So, Indy Hartwell then took the mic. Afterwards, they came back from commercial. Indy took the mic and she talked about hitting rock bottom and how she's the problem. She was rambling on and on. All of a sudden, this was probably the best thing on the show. Dexter Lumis pops up from underneath the ring to a huge fucking pop. The two embrace in the middle of the ring. They kiss. The crowd goes nuts. Dexter then carries Indy away. They share one more kiss before Dexter gives Indy a note that says goodbye, and Indy watches as Dexter Lumis gets arrested. I don't know about you, but I thought this was fucking great. And why was this great? Triple H is tying up loose ends. Triple H is tying up loose ends. We got a great segment. This was a nice feel-good moment. It didn't overstay its welcome. And Dexter Lumis is playing up to his gimmick on Raw. He got fucking arrested. He got fucking arrested. He says goodbye to Indy. He says he loves her. He gets arrested. This was a great close to the Indy Hartwell Dexter Lumis chapter. Loved it. This was so simple. We had the Dyad versus Legado del Fantasma. I can't stand the Dyad. They fucking ruined the Grizzled Young. I really do hope that the Grizzled Young veterans come back. I can't stand this Joe Gacy gimmick. Joe Gacy and the Dyad, they're characters that they're just not clicking. They're not working. They're not working. No one gives a shit about them. I'm done with it. We've seen gimmicks like this play out numerous amounts of times before. We've seen gimmick after gimmick play out numerous amounts of times before, just like this. So at the end of the day, I'm telling you, we really don't fucking need We don't fucking need the dyad. We don't need Schism. We don't need Joe Gacy. We don't need it. Means nothing. So they beat Legado del Fantasma with Ticket to Mayhem as Cameron Grimes was watching. And then we inevitably see Santos Escobar pick up Legado del Fantasma. So it looks like Legado del Fantasma could very well be showing up on SmackDown, which I am very pleased about. I really hope that that's the case. Really do hope that that's the case. Von Wagner took on Tyler Bate. Bate here was flawless. Bate here was great. Bate with a very nice flurry, bop and bang, a big slam, and then a spiral tap for the victory here. Very solid win for Tyler Bate. I actually like what Von Wagner is doing slightly. I think Von Wagner is actually slowly growing. He's slowly becoming a decent little hand. And DJ Sums, no, I said Schism. Schism is the name of Joe Gacy's group. It's Joe Gacy, Rip Fowler, and Jagger Reed. They call themselves Schism. Main event was Tiffany Stratton versus Wendy Chu. This was a lights out match. They actually dimmed the lights for this match. Kind of corny. The wrestling was fine. Wendy Chu actually was wrestling in what looked to be somewhat wrestling gear. It was pajama-inspired wrestling gear. It wasn't legit pajamas. It was pajama-inspired wrestling gear. So I actually got to give him a little bit of credit. I got to give him a little bit of credit for at least modifying Wendy Chu's gear to make things a little bit more realistic and serious for Wendy Chu. I will say that. So Wendy Chu used a garbage can and put it on Stratton and then hit the garbage can with a tennis racket. Stratton missed the moonsault. We had a brainbuster on a chair by Wendy Chu, which looked very nice. Chu then pulled out Legos. Yes, Legos. She had a fall-away slam. Did Stratton a fall-away slam on the Legos. And then Stratton delivered a double stomp to Chu. Chu kicked out. Chu then choke slammed Stratton through her bed at ringside. And then she hit a big splash in the ring, a backwards jumping splash. And Wendy Chu gets the victory here in the main event of NXT. This was probably the best Wendy Chu match I've ever seen. And Tiffany Stratton is really growing a lot. I'm really liking Tiffany Stratton. I think Tiffany Stratton has a lot of great potential. So good on Tiffany Stratton. She's proving to everyone that she's not just going to be a woman that's left by the wayside. She's legitimately going to be a big fucking deal if they want her to be. She's probably the best woman in NXT right now. So shout out to her. Shout out to her. So that was pretty much NXT. Not really a must-see show, but it was decent. Shout out to Earl Cole, who's in the chat. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. Let's check the like count. We only got about 11 likes. I think we need some more. We need more. We got 11 likes on my stream. Let me check. Hardcore Sports. I don't know about you guys, but we only have 6 likes on Hardcore Sports. If you haven't liked it on Hardcore Sports, go over to Hardcore Sports and like it right now. It is important. Do that right now. We're talking about AEW Dynamite, which was actually a great show this week. So Dynamite started off with Chris Jericho and the JAS. They kicked off the show. He wanted to address the issue between him and Garcia. He brought out Daniel Garcia. The crowd was chanting, "You're a wrestler." Crowd was chanting, "You're a wrestler." He talked about his emotions running high, and he put his hands on him. Jericho wanted an apology. Garcia then talked about how special that moment was for him, and Jericho knew that. He said he hung with his hero for 30 minutes. I always dreamt of having that match. I didn't care if people called me a wrestler or a sports entertainer, but you ruined that moment for me. Jericho said that there'll be plenty more moments like that for you. Deep down, you know you're a sports entertainer, and I want to hear you say it. Garcia was about to speak before Bryan came out. Bryan then talked to Jericho about him bullying Garcia. Jericho was screaming. Garcia then said he couldn't do this and to leave him alone. He walked away. Garcia then shoved Jericho down. Bryan smiled as Garcia left. The crowd was chanting, "You deserve it." Bryan then told Jericho that he's not a fan of sports entertainment, but that was very entertaining. Jericho then said that he's the last survivor of Stu Hart's dungeon, and he knows more about wrestling than Bryan. Bryan then said, "Let's ask your hero. What do you think he'd say?" Jericho then gave Bryan a challenge, and we got ourselves the American Dragon versus Lionheart Jericho at All Out. All of a sudden, Jake Hager attacked Bryan, and Jericho stood tall, and we got Bryan and Jake Hager next week on Dynamite. This segment was excellent. This segment was awesome. Garcia is going to be a potential switch from the Jericho Appreciation Society to the Blackpool Combat Club. This is taking Garcia to the next level. Garcia right now is on one of the best runs that he's ever had. Maybe Garcia ends up winning the Ring of Honor World Championship from Claudio Castagnoli. Or maybe Garcia ends up becoming a not North American champion, an All-Atlantic champion. Maybe he takes the championship off of Pac. A lot of good material, a lot of great material, and I can't wait to see it. Really good stuff. And on top of that, Bryan and Jericho, I mean, that's going to be a great fucking match. That's going to be an excellent match. I'm looking forward to that shit. We then go into a match between Dax Harwood and Jay Lethal. They traded some chops, some stiff chops at that. Lethal then took over with a top rope Russian leg sweep. Coming back from commercial, Harwood with a German suplex barrage. And then a big release German suplex. Lethal hit the lethal combination and then hit a dragon screw, followed up by a tope suicida. Figure 4 locked in. Dax then fought out. He hit a small package for a 2. Slingshot Liger Bomb by Harwood for a 2. Harwood then with a tight sharpshooter. It was locked in deep. Sanjay Dutt then came out. Dax and him collided. And then we had some quick roll-ups back and forth. Really nice near falls. Dax with a middle rope crossbody on Jay Lethal for a 2. They traded strikes back and forth. Lethal then with a roll-up with the trunks for the win. And it was a great match here between these two. Dutt then announced that, we challenged you to a 6-man tag, but we didn't say who. And it turned out that it was indeed the Motor City Machine Guns. It wasn't Satnam Singh, and it wasn't Sanjay Dutt. It was the Motor City Machine Guns. I like it. This just made that match that much more interesting. This match went from a dark match to a pay-per-view match with the Motor City Machine Guns. This is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. Cannot wait for it. Thunder Rosa. I talked about the issue with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, but Thunder Rosa is indeed injured. She said that she cannot defend the title due to injury, so there will be a new interim women's champion crowned at All Out. And I felt this. I really did feel this. And I felt this because you could really tell how passionate Thunder Rosa is. You can really tell how much Thunder Rosa cares about her work ethic, how much Thunder Rosa cares about what she does, how much Thunder Rosa really cares about the sport of pro wrestling in general. And I know Thunder Rosa is going to be back better than ever. And whoever she faces in that unification match, it's going to be great. And if I'm going to go with someone, I'm going to go with Toni Storm. I'm going with Rosa and Toni Storm in that championship unification match, and it's going to be great. That's my prediction right there. We had Billy Gunn versus Colton Gunn. The Acclaimed got a huge pop. Big pop. Billy Gunn was in control early. Coming back from commercial, Colton Gunn, he actually missed a splash. Billy mounted a comeback. Stokely Hathaway then hit Caster with a boombox Austin then sent Bowens into the steps. Colton with a low blow and the Colt 45 for the win. Nothing special at all. Completely missable match. This was more of an angle. Afterwards, the Gun Club attacked before Swerve in Our Glory came out to make the save. And it was confirmed at All Out. It's going to be the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory for the tag team titles, which should be great. Death Triangle and Aussie Open had a nice little promo backstage. Some really good stuff right there. Ospreay and Pac had some interesting words. So I knew for a fact that those two trios were going to tear the fucking house down. Britt Baker. She took on Kylan King. This went about 6 minutes. This was the second week in a row that Kylan King got a showcase here on Dynamite. And I'm very much liking what Kylan King's doing. Kylan King's very good at what she does. So Kylan King and Britt Baker traded some counters. Kylan King with a missile dropkick. We had a rolling elbow by Britt. The crowd was actually chanting "Pittsburgh sucks." They were in Cleveland. So obviously Cleveland and Pittsburgh, they do not like each other. So Britt hit a reverse STO, sending Kylan King into the turnbuckle. Kylan King with a nice release German suplex. And then a nice full Nelson slam for a 2. Britt Baker then hit a couple of super kicks and a stomp. Then she locked in the lockjaw and she tapped out Kylan King. Afterwards, she took the mic, and this was the shoot that she was talking about. She wrestled her entire reign with a broken wrist. Storm came out before Jamie Hayter came out. We got a brawl. The crowd booed before Hikaru Shida came out to make the save. And I fully expect these 4 women to tear it down at All Out. This is going to be a great Fatal 4-Way. This is going to be an excellent Fatal 4-Way. And if I'm going to go with someone to win this, I am going with Toni Storm. Jon Moxley and CM Punk. This was for the AEW Undisputed World Championship, and people are wondering what the fuck's going on over here. First things first. This was Jon Moxley's idea to move the match here. This was Jon Moxley's idea, and CM Punk went along with it. Are people pissed? Yes, people are pissed. People are wondering why this happened. I'm telling you this right now. Everything that happened here with Punk and Moxley, everything that the drama is coming out about CM Punk, all this shit, this is all an elaborate work. Same thing with MJF. People are wondering what the fuck's going on with MJF. The entire MJF thing's a work. If you're telling me that it's not a work after the promo that he laid down, you may be as gullible as I think. You must still think it's real. MJF is not disgruntled. MJF did this purposely for a work. Same thing with CM Punk. CM Punk and Tony Khan, MJF, they're all working in this together. This is all an elaborate plan. This is all an elaborate plan to make the product that much more interesting. Now, obviously, Tony Khan has a lot to fix in other aspects of the company, but as far as this match went, everything that's going on with Punk is a work. There's no way that CM Punk would agree to do what happened here if CM Punk was legitimately pissed off. He lost. He got squashed. He legitimately got squashed in 4 minutes. He got squashed in 4 minutes. And you're going to tell me that this is not a work? I don't know what the fuck you're doing. So this started out with some very stiff strikes early on. Punk then sold the leg, and the referee called for officials. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I thought it was the right leg. I thought it was the right leg that CM Punk got hurt. I thought it was the right leg that Punk got injured. Not the left. Punk was selling the left leg. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what came to my mind first thing. Moxley then went right on the attack. He hit some arm-trapped elbows. He then wrenched on the ankle, the injured foot of Punk. I don't think that they would do that if Punk was legitimately hurt. Moxley then hit 2 Death Riders and pinned Punk for the win in mere minutes. Moxley's the Undisputed World Champion. This was perfectly laid out. Now, am I a little disappointed we didn't get the actual match? Yes, I'm a little disappointed we didn't get the actual match. That I understand. Do I understand where people are disappointed, as in the fact that we're not getting the original story with Punk and MJF? Yes, I understand that too. But if there's a bigger story playing out, which there is, then I have no issue with that. Punk legitimately looked back at Moxley and then he whispered something to Ace Steel, who was carrying him out. Punk looked back in disgust at Moxley. That right there is going to be the facilitation of a heel turn. This is all an elaborate plan to turn Punk heel, make him the biggest prick on the roster in AEW on TV. This is all an elaborate plan to make CM Punk a heel, to get him to helping other baby faces on the roster. This is going to be a scenario where CM Punk is going to give us some of the best promos and some of the best angles in AEW thus far. Can you imagine heel Punk versus a babyface Darby, a babyface Jungle Boy, a babyface Wheeler Yuta, people like that, a babyface Wardlow, a babyface Moxley, a babyface Kenny Omega, a babyface Bryan Danielson. Can you imagine that? This is all leading to that. That look back at Moxley by Punk, that was all part of the plan. Tony Khan knew that this was going to be part of the plan. This was all part of the plan to facilitate a CM Punk heel turn. I understand where some people are disappointed, but people need to take a step back and realize that there is a bigger story to tell. There is a bigger story to tell with Jon Moxley and CM Punk, with Punk turning heel. Moxley is now the world champion, the undisputed world champion, and now this could very well facilitate the return of MJF. Is CM Punk and MJF in cahoots with one another, or will they be feuding? What's going to happen there? Are we going to get a triple threat? Is Punk going to turn heel by winning the Casino Battle Royale and winning the title back from Moxley in Chicago, and he's going to turn heel? Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? This is going to be a story that everyone needs to keep their eyes on. And if you're complaining, saying that this was a disappointment, you need to think about the bigger picture. You are thinking about the now. You need to think about the future. The future is CM Punk going heel. This is all a fucking work. You need to take a step back and realize it. No reason for anyone to complain other than the fact that people are not getting MJF and Punk the way that they envision. That I understand. I'm a little disappointed about that, but I know that there's a bigger story to tell. Moxley's the world champion. Punk is going to be the biggest asshole in AEW by 2023. Just wait. Just you wait. Ricky Starks, the Revolution is televised. He came out and he was talking about being hurt, talked about that he was pissed off. He talked about how Hobbs turned his back on him. He talked about how Hobbs called him after he broke his neck, and Ricky called Hobbs a background player to Britt Baker during the pandemic. And he took him from that, and he gave him a spotlight. When I ate, you ate. He talked about Hobbs hitting him in his neck. You are a snake, and where I'm from, we cut the heads off snakes. So why don't you bring your $5 ass to Chicago and fight me at All Out? This was a great promo. It was a great promo by Ricky Starks. And I think Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, they could very well have the sleeper match tonight. Do not sleep on these two. Hobbs and Starks are going to have a great fucking match. Do not doubt it. This is going to be good. Next week on Dynamite, we also got Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida. Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida versus Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. That should be a great tag team match. Then in the main event of Dynamite, What I tell you with this match will not do it any justice. What I tell you with this match will not do it any justice. Will Ospreay and Aussie Open versus Death Triangle. AEW World Trios Tournament Semifinals. If I was to tell you that these two teams outdid what the Shield and the Wyatts did at the Elimination Chamber in 2014, that right there wouldn't do it justice. Would you believe me? I'd like to fucking hope so, because this was fucking amazing. And I mean fucking amazing. So Ospreay and Phoenix had a great back and forth. The match started out hot. Phoenix hit a double stunner. I was legitimately taking notes like a madman throughout this entire fucking match. Ospreay got launched. He got launched. Triple planches by Death Triangle. They were in control. Aussie Open then took over, coming back from commercial. Ospreay with a beautiful corkscrew moonsault onto Penta and Pac. Phoenix was isolated. He hit a beautiful double springboard arm drag. Penta then came in with a crucifix bomb on Fletcher. Super kick to Davis. Aussie Open with a beautiful double team action coming back from the second commercial. Ospreay got super kicked by Penta while he was upside down. Pac then came in, hit a nasty German suplex, a bridging German for a 2. Aussie Open and the Lucha Bros got into it with some double super kicks. And then, this was fucking nuts. So the Lucha Bros were next to each other. Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis, they were next to each other. Pac and Will Ospreay locked their legs around both of them at the same time. Pac did it to Aussie Open, and Will Ospreay did it to the Lucha Bros. Double reverse Ranas. It was a fucking quadruple reverse Rana, and then all four of them crashed, and then Will Ospreay and Pac stared at each other and slowly rose. The crowd was going fucking nuts. It was unbelievable. So coming back from another commercial, after Pac hit an avalanche brainbuster, we had a beautiful Frankensteiner by Phoenix. Ospreay landed on his feet. We had a cutter by Phoenix. We had a big dive by the Lucha Bros onto Aussie Open. A black arrow, but Ospreay got the knees up. We had some back and forth roll-ups. Aussie Open and the Lucha Bros got back into it. Pac with a satellite DDT. Pac with an avalanche moonsault onto Aussie Open. And then he eyed what everyone thought was Kip Sabian. Everyone thought that it was Kip Sabian underneath the box. All of a sudden, Pac unmasked it, and it was just some kid with duct tape over his mouth. Sabian then came up and dropped Pac on the floor. The crowd chanted for Kip. All of a sudden, Will Ospreay hit the Oz Cutter with an assist on Phoenix in the ring. United Empire get the win. And this may have very well been. If someone was to tell me this was the greatest six-man tag team match of all time, I would not look at you weird. This was fucking amazing. And I mean fucking amazing. So Omega and the Bucks then came out. And they stood facing Ospreay. Don Callis then came out. And he held Kenny Omega back from getting in the ring. And we get Will Ospreay and Aussie Open versus the Elite next week. That is going to be fucking amazing. Great show for Dynamite. Great show for Dynamite, minus a few things here and there. Great show. SmackDown. I don't want to say it was terrible, but out of all of the shows that Triple H has put on, this was probably the worst show that Triple H has done as far as SmackDown goes. Now, we did get some storyline build and some decent wrestling, I will say that. But it was very, very missable. Really missable. Ricochet and Happy Corbin kicked off the show. Ricochet, he brought it to Corbin early on. We had a nice standing shooting star. Corbin tried to ground Ricochet. Ricochet with a handspring elbow, and then a corkscrew tornillo off the second rope coming back from commercial. Corbin then hit a world's strongest slam. A world's strongest slam on the world's strongest slam on the table. So, back in the ring, we had a face buster into the buckle by Corbin. That got a 2. Corbin was dissecting Ricochet. Ricochet with a satellite DDT. He mounted a comeback, a nice Hurricane Rana. Corbin hit the deep 6 for a 2. Corbin then with a swinging, spinning suplex for a 2. a sidewinder suplex, so to speak. Ricochet then with some kicks, and then he hit a beautiful shooting star press, and Ricochet gets the win in a very solid match. Very solid match right here. And once again, another statement. Ricochet is winning matches on SmackDown. Balor's winning matches on Raw. It's a great thing to see. We then go into a promo with Scarlett and Cross. So, Scarlett and Cross, they seem to be up in the rafters. And they talked about Drew and how it could be time for Drew to win the championship. Maybe we could potentially see the reality of Drew becoming a world champion come true. Maybe we could potentially see Drew win the world title in Cardiff. So all of a sudden, then they go from that to, or I can put my arm through the back of your head and your achievements could mean nothing. TikTok. Simple. Pretty simple. So then after that, we go into Shotzi and Xia Li versus Natalya and Sonya versus Dana Brooke and Tamina versus Doudrop and Nikki Trash. This was a last chance fatal four-way match. This match was a chaotic fucking mess. It really was. No one was tagging in and out. This was one thing after the other. Nikki actually over-rotated. She actually over-rotated on a superplex to the outside onto the pile, and she looked like she hurt her knee. And I hope that Nikki's okay, but I'm telling you, the Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament, this has probably been the worst tournament that I've ever seen from WWE, ever. This tournament, outside of the match that we got on Monday between Asuka Bliss, Kai, and Sky, has sucked. It has absolutely sucked. Really. Absolutely sucked. Sonya Deville and Natalya ended up getting the win here. I expected them to, specifically because of the fact that they are the best wrestlers out of all the tag teams. Danielle Wolf, I don't know what your obsession is with Riho, but just because Rio's not on television, that doesn't really mean that you have to hate Tony Khan. I mean, that kind of makes you come off a little bit stupid. I'm just letting you know. Just letting you know. I'm always honest with you. That's just me being honest with you. Riho isn't really all that special. She adds to the division, but she really isn't all that special. Now, as far as the WWE women go, this was a chaotic mess. This did not need to take place. And the women's tag team titles, I'm telling you right now, after we get Sasha and Naomi coming back, and we get Sasha and Naomi versus Dakota Kai and Io Sky, they have that match, just fucking retire the titles after that. They can have that ladder match to decide who's going to be known as the final women's tag team champions. Have that be the end of it. I'm sick and fucking tired of it. I really am. The Brawling Brutes. Brawling Brutes came out. Sheamus took the mic and he wanted to address his match with Gunther. So we talked about how the Brutes will be starting fights and drinking pints when I become the new Intercontinental Champion. Gunther and Kaiser then came out, and Kaiser then said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the mat is heilig," aka saying the mat is sacred. Sheamus, he then talked to Gunther and said, "He is a real ring general. I have beaten every single one of them. I have beaten them all, from Drew McIntyre to Randy Orton to Triple H, Roman Reigns. And I see a lot of myself in you. It's been years since I've seen someone like you. You love to go to war in this ring, but at Clash at the Castle, I will grab that title off your lifeless body and into the body of the dragon, the Red Dragon, aka because he's got fucking red hair. He's looking to become the ultimate Grand Slam champion, which could be very much a reality. Sheamus, he will absolutely go down as the greatest Irish superstar of all time. I'm just letting everyone know that. Sheamus is the greatest Irish superstar in WWE history. He is amazing. By the way, he also said he's putting on banger after banger after banger after banger, which he is completely right in saying that. So Gunther then says, Sheamus, you're a man to be respected. I will give you that, but you are nothing like me. I will teach you what violence really means. I will chop your chest into bloody bits. I will break the man that everyone says can't be broken. I will break you. Now, this was a very good promo, but what I loved about this the most was we had Butch and Ridge Holland fighting Kaiser around the ring, all the while Sheamus and Gunther were just staring at each other. They didn't take their eyes off of one another while everyone else was brawling. Fucking badass. All of a sudden, when Butch and Kaiser were separated, they kept their eyes on each other, and then they grabbed them and just pulled them up. Pulled them up. That was great. This is going to be a fucking great match. I can't wait for this shit. Really, I can't. I'll tell you what else is great. Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. Now, Sami Zayn and the heel character that Zayn is playing sucks. But holy shit, him and Roman Reigns have great chemistry together. And I mean fucking great chemistry together. This segment with Roman and Zayn was fucking excellent. So Sami was buttering up Roman and vice versa. Roman then gave Sami, this was great. Roman, as Sami was walking out, Roman Reigns was giving this nasty fucking look as if, you know, he didn't give a shit about Sami, as if he wanted the Usos to just beat the shit out of Sami. This was great. This segment was awesome. We had Sonya Deville and Natalya versus Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel was pretty much carrying this match. So Bayley was on commentary with her crew. Aaliyah took out Deville with a dive off the apron, and then Natalya hit a Michinoku driver to Aaliyah on the floor. Coming back from commercial, Raquel came in with a fallaway slam to Sonya. Sonya dropped Raquel on the top buckle. Raquel was isolated. Aaliyah was completely out for the rest of the match. Raquel had to fight it alone. She hit some splashes to Natalya and Sonya, a twisting Vader bomb for a 2. Natalya was then sent out of the ring. Sonya Deville with a sliding knee for a 2. And then we inevitably saw the Tahana bomb, and Raquel and Aaliyah advanced, so they will be taking on Io and Dakota for the titles on Monday. And afterwards, after Sasha and Naomi return, you can pretty much do the unification match and just fucking retire the titles. Because I cannot stand them. This tournament has sucked. New Day. This was actually probably the best New Day segment that I've seen in months. New Day returned. Woods was in a wheelchair, and Woods was acting all serious. I like it. Serious New Day. Good. So Woods was talking about how it's rather difficult to be happy right now, and we underestimated the Viking Raiders. Kofi said we've been getting our asses kicked. Last week, we saw them burning New Day shirts and unicorn horns. Maybe the New Day is done. God, I fucking hope. I can only hope that the New Day would just be done. Everyone in the New Day needs to do singles acts. The New Day and the entire New Day act has overstayed its welcome. It has been nearly 10 fucking years since the New Day debuted. When is enough enough? The New Day is legitimately holding everyone in that faction back. Kofi's had a made career. Kofi should be putting others over. Big E and Xavier Woods are being held back from being in the New Day. They really are. Woods and Big E need to go solo. Seriously. So Eric then said, this is pathetic. We gave you a proper send-off and you're out here sniveling. He says, weakness makes us sick, and the best thing to do for a wounded animal is to put them down. Viking Raiders then went to the ring. Woods then was hiding kendo sticks under the blanket that he had. And the New Day beat down the Viking Raiders with the kendo sticks, and the New Day stood tall. This was actually a pretty decent segment. What's going on over here? Is TV? TV getting a little loud? What's going on over here? There we go. No mercy. No mercy. There you go. What's going on? There you go. Anyway. So, the New Day, when they're serious, this is a great thing. It really is. A great thing to see, a great thing to endure, and I love when we actually get some seriousness and some focus. This is what we need. We need seriousness. We need focus from the New Day. We got a Viking rules match next week between the New Day and the Viking Raiders, which should be great. We also got Butch versus Ludwig Kaiser. We got Hit Row versus Maximum Male Models, the debut of Maximum Male Models. We got Karrion Kross's in-ring debut. Roman Reigns is having a 2-year celebration, and Ronda Rousey's final judgment is next week. Looks like a great show next week. And then in the main event, we had Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. Sami Zayn and Drew, they put on a decent little match here. The Usos tried to help out Sami, but to no avail. Drew won with the Claymore. Pretty decent little match. But the main thing was what happened afterwards. Reigns then came out. Drew laid him out. However, the Usos came in, as did Sami. Roman hit a spear. And then the Usos hit Drew with steel chairs, sent him over the table. Cole was just selling the shit out of this. Michael Cole did a great job. Michael Cole did a great job selling this. We had a Helluva kick by Sami. Drew was then put in the ring. Roman locked in a guillotine. He then took a chair, put it on Drew, and just sat there with his 2 titles. It was awesome. This was a great beatdown. So, rather missable SmackDown, but we did get some storyline progression. Last show before we get out of here, and I'm pretty much just going to go through it pretty quickly. It was Rampage. Rampage, not very well booked. The vibe was very off. I already talked about this. Worst Rampage of the year for sure. Dark Order and the House of Black. This was for the AEW World Trios Championships first round. I fucking hate the fact this only went 10 minutes. Why did we need a Wardlow versus Ryan Nemeth match? Why do we need a Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ashton Day match? We could have taken those 2 matches off and given this match another 8 minutes. Don't know why. Decent little match right here. It ended up with the Dark Order losing. Not really sure how I feel about that. But Dark Order is feuding with Sting, Darby, and Miro, and it looks like we're going to get a 6-man tag match at All Out, which should be a great match. But I still would have preferred the House of Black to advance. So, John Silver tagged in. He got in there with Buddy Matthews. That's actually a match I definitely want to see. We had some nice back and forth between all 6 men. Reynolds then mixed it up with Black. All 6 men faced off coming back from commercial. House of Black were in control. Reynolds then made the tag to 10. He came in hot. Nice back suplex to Matthews and a spine buster to Black. Matthews actually came in with a diving Meteora. Nice double team action by Silver and Reynolds on Matthews and Brody. Black then locked in a knee bar. All of a sudden, Miro's music hit. Miro attacked King and Matthews, who were the illegal men. Reynolds then rolled up Black to win the match. So the Dark Order could very well go on to the finals to face off against the Elite. Maybe we get Hangman in there. So, afterwards, the House of Black, they just destroyed Miro. Before Sting and Darby came out, the House of Black retreated, so it looks like we're getting a 6-man tag there. And it looks like the Dark Order may be going to the finals to fight the Elite, and we could see Hangman team with Silver and Reynolds. That should be interesting, and that could very well be a nice story to tell. So I actually have no issue with that. We had Ryan Nemeth versus Wardlow for the TNT Championship. Jay Lethal and his crew came out with Chris Sabin. Ryan Nemeth was running his mouth to Wardlow. Wardlow just completely destroyed him. Clotheslined the shit out of Nemeth. 4 power bombs, and he successfully retained the TNT Championship. Powerhouse Hobbs took on Ashton Day. Hobbs completely demolished him. He actually mimicked Ricky Starks' pose and then won with the spine buster. Then the Factory came up on the screen, and they laid out Ricky Starks with QT Marshall punching him with his watch. So that should be pretty much a storyline that they're going into All Out, telling all that other shit. One match that was confirmed for All Out was Jade Cargill and Athena for the TBS Championship. I fully expect Athena to win, and she should win. Jade Cargill's time with the TNT Championship or the TBS Championship has run its course. Give it to Athena. Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello, they took on Ortiz and Ruby Soho. Decent little match right here. Really nothing too crazy. Ty wore down Ruby early on. Ortiz came in, as did Sammy. Ortiz with a short-armed lariat combination. Ruby came in with a splash onto Sammy. Sammy then with a V-trigger to Ortiz. He took over. Coming back from commercial, Ortiz with a big lariat. He tagged in Ruby. She then went for Ty Conti. Hit a nice backdrop driver and a super kick. Ruby then hit a poison Rana on Sammy Guevara. Ty came in with a crossbody for a 2. We had a DDT by Ortiz on Sammy. Ruby hit no future, but Sammy broke it up. We had a tag to Ortiz. Anna Jay then attacked Ruby Soho from behind the referee's back. Sammy then with a slingshot cutter, and he wins the match. Fun little match, but too much outside shenanigans. There's way too many outside interferences in AEW. That's another thing that they need to fix, really. And then the main event, Claudio Castagnoli and Dustin Rhodes for the Ring of Honor World Championship. This wasn't a bad match. Solid match overall, but I'm telling you, at this point in the show, I was just spent. I just wanted to turn it off. The vibe of the show was not good. It was not good at all. So we had a very technical start. Claudio and Dustin then matched up pretty evenly. Dustin then with a boot to the side of the jaw. Claudio regained control coming back from commercial. Claudio and Dustin traded strikes. Dustin mounted a comeback with a nice cannonball off the apron. Big flying lariat for a 2. Dustin with a Hurricane Rana and a Code Red. Beautiful Code Red for a 2. Claudio then with a lariat. Claudio hit a big swing. That got a 2. Claudio locked in the crossface, but Dustin got out of it. Nice power slam. Dustin Rhodes, he tried to go for a pile driver, but he just kind of dropped Claudio backwards. I'm not sure what exactly he went for there. Claudio then with a leapfrog, but Dustin Rhodes accidentally low-blowed him in the balls. Claudio then took advantage, hit a pop-up uppercut right out of the gate for the win. Very odd, very clunky ending. I don't know what the fuck happened here, but the match was solid up until the ending. Claudio retains the championship as he should. Not really sure why we needed all the other extra shit on Rampage. Realistically, it should have just been this match. It should have been the Dark Order and the House of Black, and then it just should have been the mixed tag team match. That's all that should have been on Rampage. Plus the exclusive footage from CM Punk. It was just a waste of time. It added no layers to the story. Very disappointing episode of AEW Rampage. I'd like to hope that what I've said and what some people have said will resonate with Tony Khan, and he does look to improve the show. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of the LFU. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. I greatly appreciate all of you. Do not forget, like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all those links in the description. And I want you guys to set your calendar dates for all the dates going into the future. I will be at Grand Slam on September 21st. Total of PAL, New Jersey on September 23rd. ISPW King of the Ring Tournament. Do not forget, buy your tickets if you're on the East Coast area. Thank you to Mac the Giants fan, Dee. Thank you to DJ Sums, Danielle Wolf, everyone, Mitch Kovsky. Thank you to everyone. Greatly appreciate every single one of you. All Out rundown next Tuesday at 8. Clash at the Castle and NXT Worlds Collide rundown next Thursday at 8:30. LFU's at 10:30 a.m. next Saturday. Rewind for Clash at the Castle Sunday, September 4th at 1 p.m. And rewind for Worlds Collide and All Out on Monday, Labor Day, September 5th at 2 p.m. We're going to have a great week. Until then, my name is DJ Storms. This has been the lightning flash update. And one last time before we get out of here, I've waited 2 weeks to do this once again. Ladies and gentlemen, who runs the IWC? Who runs it? I want to hear it. I want you to type it. Type it in the chat. Who runs the IWC? I want to know who. I want to know who. I'll tell you who. Who but DJ motherfucking Storms. And don't you forget it. I'll catch you guys next Tuesday.